The Whisper of the Doll, Episode 12. The air in the abandoned station seemed thicker than ever, as if the very walls held their breath, waiting. James stood frozen on the edge of the old platform, staring at the strange portal that had swallowed him into this otherworldly nightmare. His body trembled, but not from the cold. The haunting whispers that had been following him throughout this journey grew louder, more persistent, crawling into his thoughts. The moment he had passed through the glowing gateway, the atmosphere had shifted dramatically. It was no longer the eerie silence of the station, but the oppressive, otherworldly quiet of a forgotten realm. The whispers of the dolls that haunted his dreams and waking moments now surrounded him, their voices rising and falling in a hypnotic rhythm. Ahead of him, a tall, grand door stood at the end of the station's tunnel, an imposing structure that seemed completely out of place in this decaying world. Ornate carvings lined its surface, depicting strange figures and symbols that James couldn't recognize. His instincts told him that this was it. This was the place where everything would finally make sense. But something dark and unseen moved behind the door, watching, waiting. He took a cautious step forward, the weight of his journey pressing on his shoulders. Every footfall echoed in the empty space, making him feel even more isolated. As he reached the door, the whispers suddenly ceased, leaving a deafening silence in their place. He hesitated, his hand hovering over the intricate handle. A part of him screamed to turn back, but he knew that there was no other way. Whatever waited beyond this door was the key to unlocking the mystery of the station and the doll. With a slow, deliberate breath, James pushed open the door. The sight before him was nothing like he had expected. The room was vast, far larger than seemed possible. It stretched out infinitely, the walls lined with towering shelves that reached into the darkness above. Each shelf was crammed with rows upon rows of ancient, weathered dolls, all staring blankly into the void. They were of various shapes and sizes, some as small as a thumb, others as large as a child. Each doll had its own unique expression, but they all shared the same eerie stillness. James felt a chill crawl down his spine as his eyes landed on the center of the room. There, standing on a raised pedestal, was the very doll that had haunted his dreams, the porcelain doll with the lifelike eyes. But something was different now. The doll's eyes, once cold and distant, seemed to follow his every move. They gleamed with a strange light, as if someone was trapped inside. A soft feminine voice broke the silence. "You've come a long way, James." He spun around, heart pounding, but there was no one there. The voice continued, seemingly coming from all directions at once. "I've been waiting for you." James swallowed hard, his voice barely a whisper. "Who are you?" The voice chuckled softly. "I am the keeper of this realm. And you are the one who can finally set us free." "Set you free?" His mind raced, trying to comprehend what was happening. "What are you talking about?" The room seemed to darken as the voice grew more serious. "The dolls you see here, they are not mere toys. They are vessels. Souls trapped for eternity, bound by a curse older than time itself. You hold the key to breaking that curse, James." His hands trembled as he looked down at the glowing artifact in his hand, the key that had led him here. "Why me?" he asked, feeling the weight of responsibility bearing down on him. "Because you were chosen. Your bloodline is tied to this place, to this curse. Only you can end it." James took a step back, shaking his head. "No, this can't be real. This is all just a nightmare." The voice softened, almost sympathetic. "It is real, James. And if you do not act now, you will be trapped here with us forever." He looked up at the doll on the pedestal, its eyes glowing brighter, almost pleading with him. A part of him wanted to turn and run, to escape this twisted reality, but he knew deep down that there was no escape. Not without confronting the truth. Steeling himself, James approached the pedestal, the key growing warmer in his hand. He reached out, placing the key into the slot that had appeared in front of the doll. As he turned it, a low hum filled the room, growing louder with each passing second. Suddenly, the dolls on the shelves began to stir, their eyes glowing with the same eerie light. One by one, they turned their heads toward James, their expressions slowly shifting from blank stares to something more human. A strange energy coursed through the air, and James could feel the weight of countless souls watching him, waiting. The voice spoke again, its tone urgent. "Now, James, you must complete the ritual. Speak the words and the curse will be broken." He hesitated, the weight of the moment pressing down on him. What if this was all a trick? What if freeing these souls meant something far worse than he could imagine? But there was no time to think. The room shook violently, the doll's eyes glowing brighter and brighter. James took a deep breath and recited the incantation that had been etched into his mind since the beginning of this nightmare. As the final word left his lips, a blinding light filled the room and everything went still. James blinked, his vision slowly clearing. The dolls were gone. The shelves, the room, the oppressive darkness, everything had vanished. He stood alone in the quiet station, the soft hum of the city above barely audible. But something was different. He could feel it in the air, in his very bones. The curse was broken. As he turned to leave, the voice spoke one last time, softer now, almost a whisper. "Thank you, James. You've set us free." He smiled faintly, the weight lifting from his shoulders. But as he stepped out of the station and into the cold night, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. Next episode. In the next episode, James will discover the true origin of the curse and the shocking history that ties him to the dolls. The journey is far from over, and the deeper he goes, the more dangerous the stakes become. Will he find the answers he seeks, or will the darkness consume him?